Welcome to Public Policy Tonight. I'm your host, Brian Rill. Tonight's show is laser focused on something so thrilling it makes reading the next tax code sound like a beach vacation. Medicaid billing. That's right, folks. The labyrinth art of getting paid to help people not lose their minds. Let's kick off this with a fun fact. Expanded Medicaid coverage does not necessarily mean expanded access to public health care. Because if you live in a place like Chaffee County, Colorado, population about 19,000, or roughly the number of times you'll scream into a pillow before giving up on the system, you're screwed. We've got low-income folks drowning in mental health needs post-COVID, and Medicaid covers about 20% of Colorado's population. Great, except only 2 to 4 out of our 10 to 15 local psychologists and therapists actually take it. That's less than 30% of the participation. The rest, they're like, nah, I'd rather herd cats while riding a unicycle. Okay, buckle up, because this backwards issue prioritizes large bureaucracies over the poor saps, the private practitioners who actually do the work. Take our star witness, Drew. Poor Drew's been trying to get credentialed with Medicaid for 3 damn years. He uses third-party billing systems because who has time to learn this stuff? And he was accredited at one point, but now his third-party service swears up and down he's Medicaid ready, golden ticket in hand. Yet when he submits a bill, crickets, or worse, rejection letters that read like a haiku of despair. Your credentials, insufficient. Try again. Sincerely, the void. So Drew's got 0 Medicaid patients, despite the green light from his billing buddy. It's the perfect storm of having Medicaid expansion without expanding access to local mental health care. Because nothing says we care about your brain like making you drive 2 hours to Denver just to cry to a stranger about your anxiety. The Medicaid billing process should be easier than trying to drive in reverse, blindfolded through the Eisenhower Tunnel at full speed. You know, the 1.7-mile death trap under the Rockies? Imagine that, but with red tape instead of snowdrifts and no guardrails. Hilarious, right? Except when it's your mental health on the line. Goals? Quantify the barriers, spotlight scalable fixes. Like, why is Headway and Sondermind, those third-party saviors, still a crapshoot? Headway takes 10 to 20% cut, but handles billing, except they ban concurrent Medicaid apps in Colorado. And credentialing, discrepancies galore. Drew got accredited through them, lost it when clients dried up, and now he's circling the drain. Sondermind, referrals only, not in-network statewide. Even with help, it's impossible. Extra training, hours of unpaid drudgery to get Medicaid certified. Folks, if therapy's this hard to bill, no wonder we're all a little crazy. Stakeholder engagement. Because no policy pitch is complete without rounding up the usual suspects in this grand circus of competing interests. Who's ringside for this brawl? First up, the providers. Heroes like Drew, representing 80% of non-billers who are, let's say, less than thrilled. Then the patients, those low-income Chaffee County families scraping by, ably repped by the fine folks at Heart of the Rockies Regional Medical Center, who deal with this fallout daily. Advocacy heavyweights, the Colorado Behavioral Health Administration, and Mental Health Colorado, out there yelling for equality like it's open mic night for justice warriors. On the government side, we've got the HCPF, the red tape ringmaster, and the Chaffee County Commissioner's Office, those two classic local shrugs of, sounds like a Denver problem. And don't forget the business corner, third-party billers like Headway, who promise salvation but deliver headaches in spades. For our deep dive, we actually engaged an external stakeholder, Drew himself, straight from the trenches. Perspectives, they clash harder than family reunion at Thanksgiving. Providers crave simplicity to survive. HCPF prioritizes bureaucratic efficiency. Read self-preservation. And patients just want access without the odyssey. The key, strike a balance, or We'll all wind up in one giant mandatory group therapy session, complete with icebreakers and zero copay. Step 5, policy options. Time to brainstorm like we're at a very earnest TED Talk, but with more snark. Existing laws and initiatives. Let's give a half-hearted yawn to HCPF's Behavioral Health Billing Manual. It's comprehensive, sure, but about as exciting as watching paint dry on a claim form. The 2025 expansions are a step up, reimbursing primary care doctors for collaborative therapy models, but the largely sidelined independent therapists like the ones we need most enter best practices from afar. A hearty shout to Oregon, where the coordinated care organizations think regional hubs of hope. Centralized credentialing in a way that's almost efficient. You enroll once with the Oregon Health Authority, snag your NPI and license basics, then ping a local CCO for your rural turf. The whole shebang, 30 to 75 days, no fees, telehealth woven right in like it's no big deal. Their hub and spoke setup lets Chafee style spoke therapists beam sessions to urban hub specialists. And get this, it's boosted rural behavior health networks by 20 to 30% since 2012. Colorado, take note. Don't just doodle mustaches on them. So our menu of options served family style. 1, state funding training subsidies to demystify the Medicaid haze. 2, expanding third-party billing platforms and foot their pesky cuts. 3, launch auto-renewal pilots to kill those endless loops. 4, juicy rate bumps tailored for rural warriors. Pick your poison, or hell, go potluck and do them all. Why settle for a Band-Aid when we can throw a policy parade? Step 6, potential consequences and implications. Because every good policy orgy needs a morning after rundown. What happens when the confetti settles? Short-term wins form subsidizing third parties. We'd onboard 5 to 10 new Chafee providers in under a year, slashing wait times by 30% and turning eternal delay into reasonably prompt catharsis. Costs, a modest $500,000 statewide, pocket change if you're not a Scrooge. Long-term, the glory, emergency room bills plummet by $2 million annually in rural Colorado alone. Suicide rates dip 10% and society scores fewer public breakdowns. Return on investment, a tidy 3 to 1, my friends. Benefits raining down like manna from financial savings to social harmony. Risks, sure. A whisper of privacy leaks from those billing middlemen, and nothing an NDA orgy can't fix. Environmentally neutral as Switzerland. And for the visual learners, picture this table on screen. I'll narrate it with a flair it deserves. Behold, option 1, training subsidies. Short-term, providers level up their skills overnight. Long-term, they stick around, not bolt for private pay paradise. Tab, $200K a year, but the payoff, equity, high fives all around. Option 2, third-party boom. Quick enrollment wins that scale like viral cat videos. $300K to cover those greedy cuts, lifting the burden faster than you can say, divorce your admin nightmare. 3, regulatory streamlining, maybe some upfront policy hiccups, but long-term, fewer dropouts and cheap IT facelift for $100K. And 4, incentive payments, immediately uptake surge, locking in rural talent with $400K in rate love, exploding access like a policy piñata. Bottom line, benefits bulldoze costs, unless, of course, you're a bean counter with the phobia of actual human progress. In that case, seek help, ironically, via Medicaid. Step 7, legal and ethical considerations. We're not barbarians after all, well, not entirely. Our proposals slot neatly into federal Medicaid guardrails like 42 CFR on provider enrollment and Colorado's own HB 21-1198 for behavioral health policy. Ethically, it's a slam dunk for beneficence, doing good and justice, evening the playing field without arm-twisting mandates. Potential pitfalls: lawsuits over rate tweaks, echoing those in 2021. Audit fiascos that had providers seeing red. Solution: roll out pilots first. Test the waters. Dodge the torpedoes. Boom. As lawsuit proof as a prenup drafted by angels. Ish. Close enough for government work. Step 8, public input. Look, we haven't herded folks into town halls yet. Call it strategic laziness. But in the grand strategy, we're all in. Picture virtual gatherings via the Chaffee County Health Department, plus slick online surveys through HCPF's portal, pinging 200 locals with the burning question: do these barriers suck? Their feedback: gold for refining the plan, ensuring it's not just another drop-down dictate. Inclusive democracy. Check and mate. Step 9, feasibility. Spoiler: Colorado's got a soft spot for mental health aid fixes. The 2025 expansions prove it, with bipartisan high fives from rural champions like Senator Barb Kirksmeyer. Supporters in our corner. BHA, HCPF, ready to rumble. Detractors, those budget vampires sucking the fun out of a fiscal year. Public pulse, a solid 70% approval rating. Folks are over this nonsense. Hurdles ahead. Rural broadband black holes, countered with mobile outreach units, and credentialing backlogs nuked via Chaffee's specific pilot. Overall score, a respectable 7 out of 10. And like the legislative launchpad, something snappy like HB 25, because nothing says reform like an alphanumeric soup. And capping out our 10-stage tango, step 10, the policy proposal and strategy. Ladies and gentlemen and exhausted therapists, behold the Rural Mental Health Access Act, a razor-sharp pilot program subsidizing third-party platforms like Headway, paired with free hyper-local training sessions to get Chaffee's shrinks Medicaid ready overnight. Goals: ramp up participating providers by 50% in 18 months, while compressing those soul-crushing wait times to under 30 days. Objectives: credentialing demystified, billing cuts covered for the first year, all woven into existing accountable care collaborative supports. The roadmap: crystal, months 1 through 3. Huddle with HCPF and BHA to draft the bill and snag $250K from the Behavioral Health Transformation Fund, because who's got a spare $250,000 laying around? Months 4 to 6. Roll out 4 no-cost training extravaganzas. Zoom hybrid for the win. Onboarding at least 10 providers with those sweet subsidies. 7 to 12. Keep tabs with quarterly audits and 2 lively town halls for that public spice. Finally, 13 to 18, rigorous evaluation via provider polls and HCPF metrics. If we hit 40% uptake, boom, statewide scale up. Timeline: launch in Q1 2026. Full autopsy by Q3 2027. Budget breakdown: at least $250K total. $100K for trainings, $100K in subsidies, $50K for the administrative grease, legislative muscle. Rope in Representative Mark Snyder from Chaffee to introduce and champion execution partners. HCPF runs the show. Mental Health Colorado amps the advocacy. And if legal gremlins stir, we've got ACLU Colorado as a ride or die ally. The honest truth: hurdles will loom like storm clouds over the divide. But this bad boy leverages Colorado's recent expansions for tangible boosts on the ground impact. No more blindfold barrel rolls through the Eisenhower Tunnel. Just smooth sailing to saner minds. So, America, Colorado, Chaffee County, this is your call to arms. Demand it. Flood your reps' inboxes. Give HCPF a polite but firm yell. Because if we can't untangle this billing berserker, what fresh hell awaits the actual apocalypse. Therapy first, end times later. It's the only sane order. Thanks for tuning in to Public Policy Tonight. I'm Brian Rill. Stay weird, stay relentlessly politically piled. Good night.